And baby, before we go any further, I need you to lean in and catch this truth that's been waiting to meet you right where you are. You are enough, not tomorrow, not when you check off every box, not when you lose the weight or gain the title or heal every wound or make everyone proud, but right now, as you are in your tears and your triumphs, in your flaws and your brilliance, in your questions and your becoming, you are already enough. Because your worth was never up for negotiation, never on trial, never in someone else's hands. It was sealed into your soul the moment you were born, stamped with purpose, crowned with promise, and dripping in divine design. And I know this world has tried to tell you different. I know you've been handed mirrors that distorted your reflection. I know you've been told you had to earn love, prove value, justify your space. But I came to disrupt that lie and remind you that you don't have to hustle for your worth. You don't have to audition for belonging. You don't have to shrink to be accepted. You already belong, you already matter, and you already carry the light that this world desperately needs. And I get it, I really do. I know how easy it is to forget, to slip into the old story that says you're too much or not enough, too broken or too behind. But baby, the story can change the moment you decide to write a new one, the moment you stop waiting for someone else to validate you and start validating yourself. Because the truth is, no one can affirm you more powerfully than you can. No one can speak life into your own soul more clearly than you can. And when you start waking up every morning and declaring that you are enough, not because of your performance, but because of your presence and not because of what you do, but because of who you are, everything starts to shift. Your energy changes, your posture straightens, your voice strengthens, and you begin to show up in rooms like you belong in every single one, because you do. And the beauty of this truth is that it doesn't ask you to be perfect. It doesn't ask you to never stumble or struggle or question it. Simply ask you to remember that the same power that lives in the mountains, the oceans, the stars, and the sunrise lives in you. Remember that your journey, with all its twists and turns, is holy ground. Remember that your scars are not shameful, they are sacred. Proof that you kept going, that you rose again, that you're still here, and still becoming, and still worthy of every dream that has ever lived in your heart. And baby, let me tell you something the world may have forgotten to remind you of. You don't need fixing. You don't need to be more of this or less of that to finally be worthy, because you were never broken to begin with. You were only buried under expectations that were never yours to carry, under shame that was never yours to hold, under silence that was never meant to muzzle your voice. And I want you to rise up right now and shake off every layer that doesn't belong to you. Every lie that said you had to earn your seat at the table. Every memory that tried to convince you that you were too damaged to be loved fully. Because baby, you were always the table. You were always the one bringing the light, bringing the love, bringing the healing that people didn't even know they needed. And if anyone couldn't see your value, it's only because they were never meant to carry your vision, never meant to hold space for your journey. And that's okay, because you're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to be undeniable in your truth, unshakable in your purpose, and unapologetic in your becoming. And I know the nights have felt long. I know you've cried in silence and clapped for others while praying your time would come. I know you've carried burdens in your chest that never made it into words. But let me be your reminder today that your journey still matters, that your voice still carries weight, that your dreams are still valid, because your life is not measured by perfection. It's measured by presence, by resilience, by your decision to keep rising, even when your knees shake, even when your heart doubts, even when no one's watching. And baby, the mere fact that you've made it this far, that you've chosen healing over hiding, growth over guilt, courage over comfort, that tells me everything I need to know. You are enough. You've always been enough, and nothing will ever change that truth. And baby, let me speak into your soul right now, because I see the weariness in your eyes. I feel the questions you're afraid to ask. I sense the ache you carry quietly while still showing up strong for everyone else. And I want you to know that strength isn't about never breaking. Strength is about choosing to breathe when everything inside of you wants to collapse. It's about finding the courage to say, I'm not okay, and still leaning toward your healing anyway. And I know the world taught you to be everything for everybody, to wear the smile, to keep pushing, to hustle for your worth like you were a product and not a person. But I came to remind you that you're not here to perform your way into love or overachieve your way into belonging. You already belong. You already matter. You already carry a significance that no one else on this planet can duplicate. And I know you've been told to tone yourself down, to quiet your passion, to hide your brilliance, because it made other people uncomfortable. But baby, your light isn't here to be dimmed. It's here to disrupt darkness, to ignite possibility, to awaken purpose in others just by being fully alive in who you are. And if anyone ever made you feel like you had to apologize for being you too bold, too soft, too loud, too ambitious, too real, then let this be the day you stop shrinking, the day you stop second guessing, the day you stop contorting yourself to fit spaces you were meant to transform. Because the truth is, you weren't born to play small. You weren't born to sit quietly in the background of your own life. You were born to rise, to speak, to create, to love, to lead, to expand into the fullness of your purpose. And yes, that journey will be messy sometimes. Yes, you'll stumble. Yes, not everyone will understand, but you don't owe them understanding. You owe yourself freedom. You owe yourself compassion. You owe yourself the chance to see what happens when you stop waiting for approval and start moving like the approval already lives within you, because it does. And I know you spent too long questioning your reflection, measuring your worth by comparisons, delaying your joy for the perfect moment. But baby, you are not a project to be fixed. You are a masterpiece, still in motion, still unfolding, still revealing your glory in layers. And you don't need to do another thing to be worthy of love, worthy of peace, worthy of abundance. You only need to be present with yourself, to be gentle with your journey, to be honest about your needs and dreams and fears, because every part of you belongs here. Not just the polished parts, not just the wins and the good days, but the messy parts too, insecure parts, the healing parts, the grieving parts, the parts that you think disqualify. You are actually the ones that make you relatable, that make you human, that make you powerful. Because real power isn't found in perfection, baby. It's found in the willingness to keep showing up, even when the tears haven't dried, even when your voice shakes, even when the outcome is uncertain. And you've already proven that you've got what it takes, because look at you, still standing, still pressing forward, still daring to believe in something more, even after all the heartbreak, setbacks, and closed doors. And I want you to know that those weren't the end, they were the beginning of a chapter where you stop surviving and start thriving, where you stop proving and start being, where you reclaim your identity, not from what others told you, but from what you now choose to believe. And I pray you choose to believe that you are powerful beyond measure, that you are lovable without condition, that you are enough without performance. And baby, when you start walking like that truth belongs to you, because it does everything in your life will begin to align with your worth. And not because you begged for it, but because you owned it. And baby, I need you to pause right here with me, take a deep breath, and let this truth anchor in your spirit. You don't have to become anything more to be valuable. You just have to remember who you've always been underneath the noise, the pressure, the expectations that were never yours to begin with. You have to return home to your enoughness, because enoughness is not something you achieve. It's something you embrace, something you reclaim every time you look at your reflection and choose to see beauty, not by the world's distorted standards, but by the light in your eyes, the wisdom in your scars, the power in your presence. And I know it hasn't always been easy to see yourself through that lens, when the world tried to convince you that you were either too much or not enough, that you had to chase love, earn respect, or prove your worth by hustling, pleasing, or achieving until you were exhausted and still somehow questioning if you'd done enough, if you were enough. But let me speak directly into your soul, baby. You are not a title, not a role, not someone's approval. You are not your mistakes, not your past, not the expectations you couldn't meet. You are a walking miracle, a divine creation, a masterpiece in motion. And you were enough the moment you took your first breath. You've been enough every single moment since, and you will be enough through every storm, every triumph, every pivot. Because your worth is not conditional, it's intrinsic, unshakable, God-ordained, and eternal. And I want you to stop waiting for someone else to see it before you believe it. Stop waiting for the applause before you own your shine. Stop waiting for the weight to drop, the resume to grow, the bank account to fill, the relationship to start, the past to disappear, because none of that changes the core of who you are. And the core of who you are is worthy, resilient, brilliant, and whole. And baby, I know you've spent years editing yourself, silencing yourself, pretending to be okay, performing strength even when you were breaking inside. But I need you to know that the version of you who's still healing is not less valuable than the version who finally arrives. Because healing is a process, and you are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. You are allowed to ask for help, to take up space, to sit in stillness and know that your being is enough, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And yes, there will be moments where old wounds whisper lies that say you're behind, say you're too broken, too different, too flawed, but those are echoes from the past, not truth from your present. And you've got to be louder than those lies, baby. You got to speak truth over yourself, even when your heart doesn't feel it yet. Because the truth doesn't wait on your feelings to be real, it just is. And the truth is, you were born to love and be loved without conditions. You were born to rise without needing permission. You were born to impact without needing perfection. And it's time to return to yourself, to honor the softness and the strength, to celebrate your voice and your boundaries, to show up as the you who's tired of shrinking, tired of conforming, tired of apologizing for her power. Because this is the season where you stop negotiating your worth and start demanding alignment. This is the season where you walk away from anything that asks you to doubt yourself, anything that chips away at your joy, anything that causes you to forget the miracle you are. And it's not selfish to choose yourself. It's sacred. It's healing. It's the most radical act of self-love. And when you choose you, when you root yourself in your truth, when you begin to say, I am enough, with your whole chest and your whole heart, you begin to attract what was always meant for the real you, not the watered down version, not the edited mask, but the you who stands in her story with pride, who wears her past like armor, who uses her pain as a platform and her voice as a victory cry. And baby, that's the version of you. The world has been waiting for the real, raw, radiant you who no longer doubts her worth, because she finally remembered what was true all along, that she is, has always been, and will always be enough. And baby, I want you to feel this deep down in your bones, the kind of truth that doesn't just sit in your head, but vibrates through your chest, your soul, your entire being. You are not broken. You are becoming. And everything that has ever happened to you, every heartbreak, every rejection, every delay, every closed door, every moment you thought you weren't good enough, strong enough, worthy enough, those weren't signs of your inadequacy. They were invitations to rise, to discover the depth of your strength, to lean into the lessons that only pain could teach. And I know, baby, I know how heavy it gets carrying the weight of everyone's expectations, how exhausting it is to perform perfection while your heart is quietly cracking under the pressure. But the truth is, you don't owe anyone a watered down version of your truth, and you don't have to wear masks to be loved, because real love, real connection, real purpose will always find you when you show up as the fullest, rawest, realest version of you. And baby, that version, the one who cries and laughs and feels deeply and still shows up every day, is more than enough. And I need you to give her permission to live out loud, to walk in rooms like she belongs there, because she does. To speak her truth even if her voice trembles, because her story matters, her pain matters, her joy matters, and most importantly, her presence matters. And I know you've been taught to tone it down, to stay small, to be grateful for crumbs, to be silent when you should have roared. But that season is over. Your silence will no longer protect you. Your dimming will no longer serve you. And your shrinking will never honor the purpose you were born for. And yes, it's gonna feel scary to unlearn all the lies that said you had to earn love, earn success, earn rest. But baby, you were worthy before the accolades, before the validation, before anyone else believed in you. And that worth doesn't disappear when life gets hard, or when people walk away, or when you mess up. Because worth isn't fragile, it's divine, it's resilient, and it's in your DNA. And I need you to wake up every single morning and remind yourself that you are not defined by what you do for others, not measured by your productivity, not validated by who chooses you. You are enough simply because you exist. And it's time to start living from that truth, to stop seeking external permission to be powerful, to be bold, to take up space and take the leap even when your knees are shaking. Because fear doesn't mean stop, it means go anyway. And I know you've been carrying stories that were never yours, living by rules you never agreed to, chasing goals that don't even belong to your heart. But this right here is your permission slip to rewrite the narrative, to burn the old script and start building a life rooted in authenticity, alignment, and audacity, because you were not created to conform. You were created to transform, to disrupt patterns, to break cycles, to shift atmospheres with your presence. And baby, the world is waiting for that shift. The world is waiting for you to stand in your truth so unapologetically that it gives others the courage to do the same. Because your healing is not just about you, it's about every woman watching you rise, every little girl learning from your light, every generation that will know freedom because you said no more to silence, shame, and self-abandonment. And I know it gets lonely sometimes on this path of becoming, but don't you dare mistake solitude for being lost, because you are not lost, you are being guided. And even when you don't see the full picture, trust that you're being positioned for a purpose greater than anything you've ever imagined. Trust that your tears are watering seeds you can't yet see. And trust that your enoughness will open doors no performance ever could. Because when you walk in your truth, when you own your story, when you live in your enoughness, you become unstoppable, magnetic, and whole. Not perfect, but powerful in a way that radiates from your soul and ripples out into the world, shifting lives, shifting legacies, and shifting the entire atmosphere with every step you take. And baby, I need you to lean in with every fiber of your being, because what I'm about to say isn't just motivational talk, it's a soul reminder. A truth that has always lived in you, even when the noise of the world tried to drown it out. You are enough. Not because of what you do, not because of who validates you, not because of what you've achieved, but simply because of who you are, because you woke up this morning with breath in your lungs and purpose in your bones. Because there is something so uniquely powerful about you that no one else on this planet could ever replicate. And I know you've been taught to look outward, to chase affirmation, to hustle for worthiness. But baby, you were worthy before the striving, before the applause, before the degrees or titles or likes on a screen. And every time you doubted yourself, every time you looked in the mirror and couldn't recognize the brilliance staring back at you, every time you questioned whether you were doing enough, being enough, giving enough, I want you to know that you are already more than enough. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being present, being real, being willing to show up as the masterpiece and the work in progress all at once. And yes, you've stumbled, yes, you've been broken, but those cracks aren't signs of weakness. They're the very places where the light of your resilience shines through. And I want you to stop measuring yourself against someone else's timeline, someone else's highlight reel, someone else's version of success, because the race you're running is sacred, it's personal, and it's yours alone. And baby, there is no behind when you're on your own divine path. There is only alignment. There is only becoming. There is only growth that blooms in its own beautiful, wild, and untamed time. And I know it's tempting to shrink, to play small, to defer your dreams, because somewhere along the way you were told you were too much or not enough, too loud or not qualified, too ambitious or not capable. But those were projections, not truth. And you no longer need to wear their limitations like your labels, because baby, their opinion of you will never outrank the truth about you. And the truth is, you were sent here with something sacred in your soul, something only you can give, something the world desperately needs. And every time you choose to show up boldly, every time you choose to speak up when it would be easier to stay silent, every time you choose to keep going when your knees are trembling, that is when you embody your enoughness. That is when you begin to unlock doors that only courage can open. And I want you to know that you don't have to hustle for belonging. You don't have to earn your space at the table. You don't have to hide your softness to be taken seriously or bury your pain to make others comfortable. Because your vulnerability is strength, your softness is sacred, your voice is valid, and your story deserves to be heard, not in whispers, not in fragments, but in full volume and full power. And baby, the world will adjust to your authenticity far better than you'll ever adjust to someone else's box. So stop editing your essence to fit places you were never meant to shrink into, and start building spaces where you can stretch, soar, and shine as your whole, imperfect, unstoppable self. Because when you give yourself permission to be enough, exactly as you are, you light a fire in others that reminds them they can do the same. And baby, that fire is what the world needs right now. Not more pretending, not more perfection, but more truth, more humanity. More people who are willing to say, I'm showing up messy, but I'm still showing up, because that's what courage looks like. That's what growth sounds like. And that's what transformation feels like. Not easy, but real. And real will always win in the end. So breathe in that truth, walk with that truth, and let that truth set you free. Because you, my beautiful soul, are enough. And it's time the world sees it just as clearly as I do. And baby, let me tell you something. You might not have heard enough in your life. You are not here by accident. You are not some random occurrence. You are not just filling space. You are here on assignment. You are here because your presence shifts atmospheres, your energy heals wounds, your truth sets people free. And no matter who overlooked you, who rejected you, who walked away from you, none of that defines you. None of that diminishes your worth. Because your value was set before anyone ever had the chance to judge it. And I need you to get this in your bones. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. And I don't care how many mistakes you've made, how many times you've been knocked down, how long you've been carrying in shame like it's a badge of honor. I want you to know that shame has no place in your purpose. Guilt has no authority in your glow. And regret cannot anchor you unless you let it. Because today is the first day of your new story. Today is the day you reclaim every part of yourself that you tried to dim or disown just to be accepted. And baby, you don't need to ask for permission anymore. You don't need to water down your power to make others comfortable. You don't need to shrink your dreams so they fit inside someone else's expectations. Because you were not designed to live someone else's version of your life. You were created to live boldly, love deeply, speak unapologetically, and rise fearlessly. And I know it's scary to believe in yourself when all you've known is survival. It's hard to trust your voice when the world has been louder than your truth. But I promise you this, every time you choose to rise anyway, every time you say yes to your healing, yes to your dreams, yes to your becoming, you are rewriting the narrative, not just for yourself, but for everyone watching you. Because somebody out there is waiting for you to show them what's possible. And when you own your enoughness, you give them permission to own theirs. When you walk in your truth, you leave a trail for others to follow. And baby, the world doesn't need another copy. It needs your original fire. It needs your vision, your heart, your voice. Because there are rooms that won't be the same until you walk in them. Conversations that won't be complete until your perspective is heard. Movements that won't reach their potential until your gifts are unleashed. So stop withholding what the world is desperate to receive. Stop questioning if you belong. Stop doubting the very thing that makes you extraordinary. And lean into the power of your presence. Lean into the beauty of your journey. Lean into the truth that no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've lost, no matter how long it's taken you to find your way, you are not behind. You are right on time for your own divine breakthrough. And baby, I know you've been tired. I know you've been carrying more than you were meant to. I know there are days when showing up feels like the biggest battle, but even on your weary days, you're still enough. Even when your confidence shakes, your worth stands firm. Even when your mind spirals, your spirit still knows who you are. So breathe, baby, breathe. And remember that every breath is evidence that your story isn't over, that you still have something powerful to contribute, that the best chapters haven't even been written yet. And they won't be written without your full, unapologetic presence. So walk like you know who you are, speak like your words have weight, move like your purpose is non-negotiable, because it is. And the world is better because you're in it. And as long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep believing, as long as you keep leaning into the truth of your enoughness, there is nothing, absolutely nothing you cannot do. And baby, I need you to lean all the way in right now, because this is the moment where something inside you wakes up. This is where the shift happens, where the light bulb turns on and you realize that everything you've been looking for has always been inside of you, not outside in someone's validation, not in a degree, not in a paycheck, not in a relationship, not in the approval of people who don't even know how to see the fullness of your glory, but in your own breath, your own belief, your own brilliant, beautiful, resilient self, because you, my love, are already enough. And you don't have to hustle for your worth. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to earn the right to be seen or heard or valued. Your existence alone is evidence that you are already worthy of all the good, all the love, all the joy this world has to offer. And I know there are days when you forget, days when you question if you're doing enough, being enough, achieving enough. And I'm here to remind you that you don't have to be anything other than exactly who you are to be worthy of everything that's meant for you. And yes, I see the way you show up for others, the way you pour into everyone else, even when your own cup is running low. And I'm telling you now, it's time to pour back into yourself. It's time to prioritize your own healing, your own dreams, your own joy. Because you matter, your needs matter, your desires matter, and you've spent enough time putting yourself last on your own list, shrinking to make others comfortable, smiling through pain so others don't have to feel it. But baby, you deserve more than that. You deserve to be whole, not just strong, to be seen, not just useful, to be celebrated, not just tolerated. And I know that somewhere along the way, someone told you that being enough meant being perfect, but that's a lie. Being enough means being real, being present, being committed to showing up with your whole heart, even when it's messy, even when it's vulnerable, even when it scares you to your core, because that's where your power lives, in your truth, in your transparency, in your willingness to be fully you without apology or permission. And when you finally stop apologizing for your greatness, when you stop editing yourself to fit into someone else's limited perspective, when you stop hiding the very things that make you powerful, the world opens up in ways you couldn't have imagined, and opportunities start finding you. People start respecting you. Peace starts protecting you. And baby, that's not a coincidence, that's alignment. That's the universe responding to the moment you finally remembered who you are. And I need you to stay there, to keep believing in that version of you, even on the hard days, even when it feels like no one else sees it, because that belief is the foundation for everything you're building. And it will carry you when motivation fades, when energy dips, when fear creeps in. And I want you to speak this over yourself until it becomes your new normal. I am enough. I am worthy. I am powerful. I am needed. I am capable. I am loved. I am chosen. I am more than what happened to me. I am more than the labels I've carried. I am more than the roles I play. I am more than the pain I've endured. I am more than enough. And this is not just affirmation, it's declaration. It's ownership. It's the truth that breaks chains, that heals wounds, that rebuilds lives. And every time you say it, every time you believe it just a little bit more, every time you walk like it's true, speak like it's true, live like it's true, you rewrite the story, not just for yourself, but for every woman who's ever doubted her value, for every child who's ever been told they were too much or not enough, for every soul who's been waiting for permission to rise. You become the example, the light, the proof that transformation is possible. And baby, I see you, I celebrate you, I honor you for the work you've done and the work you're still doing. Because this journey isn't easy, but it's worth it. And you're not alone. Not now, not ever. So hold your head high, take a deep breath, square your shoulders, and walk into every room like you belong there, because you do. Not because of what you've accomplished, but because of who you are. And that, my love, will always be enough. And I want you to hear me when I say that it's time to stop questioning your right to take up space. It's time to stop shrinking in the presence of people who can't handle your shine. It's time to stop asking for permission to be bold, to be big, to be powerful. Because you were not born to play small. You were not born to apologize for your brilliance. You were not born to fit in. You were born to stand out, to lead with courage, to lead with love, to lead with authenticity. And I need you to remember deep in your soul that the world needs the full expression of you, not some watered down version of you that you created to make others comfortable, not some version of you that hides behind masks or walls because you're afraid of being too much. Because I'm telling you right now that you are more than enough exactly as you are. You have everything inside of you that you need to create the life you desire, to attract the love you deserve, to make the impact you were born to make. And I need you to stop doubting that. I need you to stop questioning your worth, your value, your potential, because the truth is, the world will only meet you as big as you meet yourself. And when you shrink, when you hesitate, when you shrink into what feels safe, you're not honoring who you really are. You're not honoring the power inside of you. You're not honoring the legacy that's waiting to be built through you. And baby, I need you to stop holding back your gifts, your love, your brilliance, because you've been hiding for far too long. You've been waiting for the perfect moment to step into your greatness. But the truth is, the perfect moment is now. The perfect moment is when you decide to rise, when you decide to stop playing small, when you decide that your dreams are no longer negotiable, that your worth is non-negotiable. And when you decide to live unapologetically, no longer dimming yourself for anyone or anything, because your purpose is bigger than your fear, your vision is clearer than any doubt, and your heart is stronger than any obstacle that tries to stand in your way. And I want you to look at yourself in the mirror right now, in this moment, and say to yourself, I am enough. I am enough for this journey. I am enough for the life I want to create. I am enough for the love I am ready to receive. I am enough to overcome any challenge. And I am enough to leave a legacy, not just for me, but for my children, my grandchildren, for the generations that come after me. Because the impact you make today will ripple out for years to come, for decades to come. And this is your time. This is your moment to finally release all the things that have held you back, to let go of the stories you've been telling yourself about why you can't. And I want you to embrace the truth that you are more than enough to create everything you desire. And when you truly understand that, when you truly believe that, you'll start to show up in the world in a way that aligns with your worth. You begin to take action from a place of power, not fear. And doors will begin to open. Opportunities will start to flow. And things that you once thought were out of reach will suddenly feel accessible, because the moment you shift how you see yourself, the moment you stop underestimating your value, the universe aligns itself with your energy. And when you show up believing you are worthy, you will see the world respond accordingly. And that is the power of knowing that you are enough. Because when you know it, when you live it, you give others permission to do the same. You give them the courage to step into their own enoughness. And that's how we create a ripple effect of transformation that can change the world. But it starts with you, baby. It starts with you owning your enoughness, owning your worth, owning your power, and standing tall in your truth. This is your life. This is your moment. And there is no more waiting. You are enough. You always have been, and you always will be. And right here, right now, baby, I need you to understand something. Deep in your soul, there's nothing missing from you. You've been looking around, searching for validation, searching for permission, searching for someone to tell you that you are enough. But I'm here to tell you that the only person who needs to give you permission is you. The only voice you need to listen to is yours. And the only approval you need is the one that comes from within, because you've always been enough. You've always had what you needed inside of you. You've always had the ability, the power, the heart, the spirit, the brilliance, the resilience. It was never about what you were waiting to receive. It was always about what you were ready to believe. And I need you to stop doubting that belief, because, my love, when you believe in your worth, when you believe in your power, when you believe in your value, the world responds to you differently. The doors open, the opportunities align, the love you desire begins to flow to you in abundance, and the peace you've been seeking surrounds you. But it all starts with you deciding today that you are worthy of love, worthy of success, worthy of happiness, worthy of living the life you've always dreamed of. And I know you've had moments of doubt. I know you've had moments of struggle. I know you've been through things that made you question if you were enough. But I want you to know that those moments do not define you. They refine you. Those moments are not the final chapter in your story. They are the lessons that prepared you for your next level. And right now, I need you to stop letting your past be the blueprint for your future. Your past does not determine your potential. Your past does not determine your power. The truth is, your past is simply the training ground. It's the place where you learn how strong you are, how resilient you are, how capable you are, how you can rise, how you can bounce back, how you can keep moving forward no matter the obstacles, no matter the setbacks, because you are enough and you always have been. And yes, there will be challenges. Yes, there will be moments when you feel like you're not sure how to keep going, but I need you to remember this: when you step into your enoughness, when you claim your worth, the challenges that come your way will no longer feel like roadblocks. They will feel like stepping stones. They will be the very things that build you up, that shape you, that take you higher. And the more you embrace your power, the more unstoppable you become. You are a force of nature, A woman who was built to break through barriers, to shatter ceilings, to rise higher than anyone ever expected, because you are enough. And that truth has the ability to transform your life. So stop waiting for someone else to tell you what you've been waiting to hear. Stop looking for the approval of people who don't even know the greatness inside of you. You've been given everything you need to succeed, and you are more than enough to make all your dreams a reality. Your greatness is already inside of you. And when you fully embrace that truth, there's nothing you can't accomplish. There's nowhere you can't go, and no dream that's too big for you to achieve. You've always been enough, baby, and the world is waiting for you to show up and claim the life that's meant for you. Because when you rise in your full glory, when you rise in your full truth, when you rise as the woman you were always meant to be, you give others the courage to do the same. And that is how we change the world, one empowered, unapologetic, enough woman at a time. You are enough. Now go and show the world who you truly are.